It's the Half Hour Wasted and Legion of Dudes podcasts. Hey, this is Jordan from Jersey with the Legion of Dudes, here with part 2 of my comic reviews for the weeks of May 19th through June 3rd, 2010. There's a lot of cool comics in the first part, so if you haven't watched that, you're going to want to check it out. Thanos Imperative, folks. Really neat. It's cool. If you're not reading the Marvel Cosmic stuff, this is a great jumping on point. It's awesome. But let's start part 2 with Joker, issue 3 of 6. This particular issue kind of ramps up the action a bit. It also gives us a flashback to the origin of the protagonist. I'm kind of really getting into this series now. There's a lot of cool little quirky things. I think I'm going to really enjoy going back and rereading it from the beginning. The art's a bit murky, which you kind of expect from Temple Smith, but it can make things a little bit hard to determine which character is which. Kind of like Cowboy Ninja Viking in a way, which a new issue comes out next week, so I can't wait for that. But so I think I'm going to get a kick out of reading it again once I kind of really know these characters and get to reread it with that perspective. So far, very cool. And being that this is vampires, I just finally got around to seeing Let the Right One In, a Swedish vampire film from 2008. It's being remade in the US. Going to come out in October, I believe, with the title Let Me In. But if you get a chance to check out Let the Right One In on Netflix or the DVD, very cool idea. Disturbing movie. Very cool idea. Very good execution. Can't wait for the American version that comes out later this year. Just thought I'd mention it. Speaking of action, we have Secret Warriors issue number 16, wherein Hydra and Leviathan have a knockdown, drag-out fight that destroys part of Japan. So the story, as usual, in Secret Avengers was awesome this issue. I wasn't huge on the artist this particular issue. It wasn't bad. I just prefer the other artists they normally have on the book. The twist at the end, interesting. I don't know how it's going to play out specifically in this book. One of the Secret Warriors themselves is revealed to be working for Hydra. What that means for the team, especially because it seems like the Secret Warriors themselves don't show up a lot in their own book, which I'm fine with, because Nick Fury is awesome, and I'd rather see him, quite frankly. What that means for a kind of minor character, I'm very interested to see, especially because of this character's relationship with the other Secret Warriors, and how that's going to affect the team in general. Bottom line, definitely pick this up. Check out Secret Warriors. It's very cool. I'm curious as to how this fits into Secret Avengers, not just because of the title, but because of something that happens in Secret Avengers that I'll get to later. Maybe it won't at all, but yeah, I'll get to that later. Next up we have from Dynamite Comics, Kevin Smith's Green Hornet issue number 4 of, I think, 12. Continues to be great. The art's awesome. Covers. That particular cover, I believe that's Alex Ross there. Very neat. Looks like a movie poster. Shame this wasn't a movie. I kind of wish it was, because the action is very cool, especially in this issue as Kato goes after a whole bunch of bad guys, and she gets a surprise guest at the end of the issue, although it's not really a surprise to anyone but her. But yes, well, we get a name for the villain, who's apparently the Black Hornet, as opposed to our hero's Green Hornet. His role in the story should be very cool. It'll be interesting to see Hornet against Hornet. I really like this. You don't need to know anything about Green Hornet at all to pick this book up. It's going to explain it all. It's moving on to a new continuity, as this is the son of the original Green Hornet, so you don't need to know the original story. And they lay out everything you do need to know in issue 1. They're on issue 4 now. Go out and pick it up. Trade should be out soon, I'm assuming. They'll probably do 2 for the series or something like that. And well worth your dimes. From Vertigo, we have Joe the Barbarian, issue number 5 of 8. And the series continues to get better and better. I really, really like this issue. One thing I haven't really touched on yet in my reviews of this series is how it's dealing with this kid. He has diabetes. I've touched on that. He's going into a diabetic coma, maybe. But there's another kind of subplot, which doesn't really show up until this issue too much, although it's mentioned before, is that his father died in the Gulf War, the second Gulf War. And the way they worked that into this particular issue, I thought was really cool. I don't really have any ties to the Gulf War. I have, friends and family who have served overseas recently, and some with better results than others, injury-wise. But the way this particular issue worked that subplot in, I thought that was awesome. It really shows you this kid's perspective of what his father did. Politics aside, because there aren't really in this issue, and I don't feel like touching on them because I don't care. really, really neat how they work in a kid's perspective of what his father did. And how that affects him, how that affects all the people around him and the people in this other world he has entered. So if for nothing else than that, and really there is tons other than that in this issue that's just really cool, but even if it was just that, that alone was cool enough to pick up this issue. It's subtle, but it's very neat. Next up, we have Orson Scott Card's Ender in Exile, issue 1 of 5. This picks up where Ender's Game Command School left off. This is new territory for me. I've read Ender's Game, but none of the other books, so it's cool to find out what happens to him afterwards. Basically, now that Ender has won the war against the aliens, he can't really come home because all the governments on Earth would want him. So the military finds a way to convince him to stay in space and be the first governor of the first colony of humans off the planet Earth as they move to a new planet. So he's on his way there, but he's got some new foes already in the form of the admiral of the ship that's taking him there, who doesn't like the fact that Ender's 13 and going to be a governor. He wants the job himself. There's a new artist on this series. I really liked the artist on the last 2 Ender's Game books. But, you know, I really like this one as well. I don't know which one I like more. They're both very different. The last one was very bright and dynamic. This one's much more flat, but stylized in a way I really do like it. So, I'm up in the air now as to whether I would have preferred the old artist to stay, but I do really like the new one. The story is very cool. Ender gets reunited with his sister. They both get on the ship, and they're going to fly off into space together with the rest of the colonists. I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Finally, this week, we have Secret Avengers, issue number 1. And you should just go out and buy it. That's just, seriously, you should just go out and buy it. I'll tell you why, but you could just stop the video now and go out and buy it, because it's that awesome. Still here? Okay. Very cool issue. I picked up the series. I'm going to follow the series because Ant-Man's in it. And I particularly like the Eric O'Grady Ant-Man. Ever since Robert Kirkman created him and had his own series, I followed him to Avengers: The Initiative, which was very good series. Recently ended, sadly, but then Thunderbolts, which was not as good, but it still had a lot of good traits. And into this series, which is shaping up to be really, really cool. Basically, Steve Rogers sets up his own underground team of Avengers. It's kind of the Black Ops unit. Very diverse group of characters: Beast from the X-Men, War Machine, Black Widow, Ant-Man, Nova, Valkyrie, Moon Knight, and others. And they're going off into space to find the Serpent Crown. I had to look that up on a Marvel wiki, but it's been around for a while. Very cool. And some of the things they run into this issue, I don't quite know what to think of them. Basically, I read the issue and at a certain point went, oh, and started shouting expletives and all that because I could not believe what I was seeing and how it might tie into Secret Warriors. I don't know that it will, simply because of a little thing called life model decoys and how that could factor in, and probably will. I hope it won't, because that's a bit of an overused cop-out. But if what we see in this issue is true, I don't know what to think about it, except that's one of the coolest things, one of the coolest reveals I've seen in comics in a while, and I just want to see where it goes next. And I want to know more about the Shadow Council, so please, Marvel, release issue 2 very quickly. Go out, pick this up. It's awesome. Seriously. That's it for the comics I read for the last 3 weeks. There's a ton of them. Go check out hhwlod.com, hhwlod.com. That's the Half Hour Wasted Legion of Dudes website. We've got an Empire Strikes Back episode coming out very soon. We just put out our second Invincible episode. Check out Half Hour Wasted too. They had a live call-in advice show. They had a show talking about the Lost finale, which you know I love, and all other kinds of good stuff we've got coming out. You're really going to want to stay tuned because it's awesome, and I will see you soon for new Lost reviews. I'm going to be doing a question and answer type thing, more on that later, more comic reviews, and you never know what else might be coming along on the channel. So, have a good week. I need to go get some sleep, and stay classy, San Diego. It's the Half Hour Wasted and Legion of Dudes podcast.